Hey guys, Uncle Jay Shuffleboson here with another story for you. This is the time that I nearly died twice in 24 hours. And this story takes place a year before 9/11. And we had just finished up a jousting show at a Renaissance Festival in Corvallis, Oregon, and we were taking I-5 south to get back to LA. And so the truck that we were in, it was Steve's truck, and it was a Ford dually gasoline with an extended cab. It wasn't a four-door truck. And the trailer that we had was full of draft horses and all of our shit. We had lances strapped to the sides of it. We had our castle and gear and stuff, ratchet strapped on the roof of it. We had so much crap with us that thing was thousands of pounds over the weight limit, and we were bending axles whenever we do long hauls like that with all that shit. And there wasn't a lot of room in the truck. In fact, because it was just a crew cab, an extended cab, we would be on a rotation. Someone had to get inside the horse trailer and sit on a lawn chair in there because there wasn't room in the truck for everybody. And it was myself, Steve, Zach, Dave, and my girlfriend at the time that I dumped a year later, right before 9/11. And I made a video about that. It's in my thing, on my page. So it was my turn to sit in the horse trailer on the lawn chair next to the horses and shit. And we're in the Dust Bowl on I-5. If you're not familiar with that, it's nothing but like almond farms and just fields. There's nothing out there. It's just nothing for miles, really. So I'm sitting there on my chair, hanging out with the horses, and I'm right by the door. Now, let me backtrack a little bit. There was a rule that we had. Whoever's in the horse trailer, if something went wrong, you know, the rule was to open up the door and wave your arm so that whoever's driving could look in the mirrors and see you, and they would pull over in the event of some kind of emergency or whatever. Okay, so back to the story. I'm sitting on my chair reading my book, and there was a gap in the panels near the top where the roof was that had bars that ran across, and it wasn't fully enclosed. It was like, you know, like a 1.5 foot opening, but it did have bars that went alongside it, so the horses couldn't stick their heads through or whatever, but it brought in air and stuff like that, and you could see through there. I'm sitting there reading my book, and something like catches my eye. Something flew by, and I'm like, huh? And I look, and I see more things flying by, and it was toilet paper. Lots of it, and it was all over the place, flying by. And some of it wrapped itself around the bars where the horses' heads were tied to, and it started flattering and flicking Duke in his face, and it spooked him, and he reared up and he hit his head on the ceiling, on the roof of the trailer, because I mean, it was a horse trailer, yes, but these draft horses are so big, it wasn't hard for it was a tight fit. It was a tight fit for these guys. And he's spooking. He's flipping the fuck out. And there's no barriers like to separate them. They're all just crunched in side by side. And he's flipping out. And one of the other horses, I don't remember who it was. Was it Beltane or somebody? He started getting upset too. Like, what the fuck is this? Hit me in the face. And I'm looking at the boards that they're on. And because these guys are so big and heavy, these boards were starting to bow in and shit. And I'm thinking, fuck me. I'm in a horse trailer and these boards are about to break, and we're doing 65 miles an hour on the highway. So this is a fucking nightmare. And I can't, because they're so jam-packed in there, I can't get in there to take that toilet paper off the bars. And more of it's coming. It just keeps coming. There's no way I could get to it. But what I did was I opened up the door and I'm waving my arm. And Duke is flipping the fuck out. And I'm waving my arm, Zach's driving. He doesn't see me. And I'm afraid these boards are going to break. And these horses are going to be fucking on the highway being dragged to death. So what I did was, the trailer door's open. It's on the side near the gooseneck, up in the front. And I climb out onto the side of the trailer, and now there's these panels run along from front to back of the horse trailer, and they're probably like 6 inches wide. I'm hanging on the horse trailer on those bars, and I'm sidestepping, shuffling, on the panels, you know, that run alongside. That's where my feet are, and I'm just kind of inching down, and the wind is hitting me hard because we're doing 65, 70 miles an hour, and I start taking this toilet paper off, and I'm talking to Duke, and I'm like, "You're okay, buddy? It's okay." And he's starting to calm down a bit. Well, there's more toilet paper fucking coming down, and it grabbed, and some of it grabbed down at the very end, past the axles, where the gate is, where you open up the trailer up, and to load and unload the horses, and that's where Zeus was and shit. And I'm like, fuck. He doesn't understand what's going on either, but he wasn't freaking out like Duke. So I'm clinging to the side of this horse trailer at 65, 70 miles an hour, and I'm just inching my way towards the back, and I get that piece of toilet paper off. Well, now no more no more toilet paper is flying by. It stopped for some reason. And I start to make my way back to the door to get back into the trailer. But because I'm like gripping, you know, these bars really tight, I get halfway back to the door, and I could feel like muscle failure because I'm just my arms are burning and shit. And I get a little bit closer, and I'm like, fuck, I need to rest somehow. So I wrap my arm around one of the upright poles on this trailer, and I just kind of put it in a headlock so I could kind of rest my other arm, and then I'd turn and switch arms and just hang on and stuff. And all of a sudden I hear a horn honking, and the winds hit me so hard, I kind of look, you know, and is a couple in a BMW, and the guy driving is like looking at me, and I'm like just hanging on this fucking horse trailer. He's like, "Are you okay?" He rolls down the window. I'm like, "No! Tell them to fucking pull over." He's like, okay. So he fucking guns it up front, and he's honking the horn and shit. And I'm like, "Oh, thank God." And I'm just hanging on to the horse trailer. And the fucking the truck doesn't slow down at all. And so I'm sitting there on the side of this fucking horse trailer, and I'm starting to think that maybe I'm gonna have to ditch. And I was thinking maybe I could leap far off the trailer to where I hit the grass off the side on the shoulder there and shit, because I'm starting to panic at this point. Well, the truck starts to slow down after like fucking 5-10 minutes of me being out there, and it gets off the highway, pulls into a gas station right there. Everybody gets out of the truck. I hop off the side of the trailer, and I'm shaking and shit, and Steve and everybody like, "What the fuck are you doing on the side of the horse trailer?" I said, "Did you guys not fucking see me waving my arm?" They're like, "No." I said, "What about the guy in the BMW? Did he tell you to pull over?" And Zach's all, "Oh, I thought that guy was yelling at me because I was going too slow or something. I just flipped him off." I'm like, holy shit. And they asked why I was on the side of the horse trailer. I'm like, dude, there's fucking tons of toilet paper flying by, grabbing the bars, spooking the horses and shit, and I couldn't get to it, and I was afraid they're going to break the boards and fall through. Steve starts fucking crying at that point. And it was him. And they were his horses. And that's why he's so upset. He nearly fucking killed him. And me. What he did was, the fucking jackass decided to take a roll of toilet paper, put it on his finger, and stick it out the window to see how long of a trail he could get before it would break off. So, yeah, I nearly got killed fucking doing that shit. And the story continues, because when we got gas, we noticed that the slack in the line from the trailer, the brakes, and the cable that goes from the trailer to the truck, that slack had come loose and was dragging itself on the highway for miles, and the cords were cut. So we didn't have trailer brakes, and the trailer was, a couple thousand pounds at least overweight, and the brakes on the truck, I mean, yeah, they worked, but they weren't great. So we fill up for gas, and there's nothing we could do about that cable. And at this point, it's really late at night, probably like midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, maybe. We climb up the back of the grapevine, and if you're not familiar with the grapevine out in SoCal, it's a huge mountain area, mountain range where you go up and over the mountain, over the highway, and down into the San Fernando Valley, and it's big. And that's where Big Bear is, and it snows and shit. And if you don't have brakes, you're in a lot of fucking trouble going up and over that pass. Actually, fucking, this is like I almost died 3 times on that trip. We get gas, and we're starting to climb up the mountain, the grapevine. And because we're so fucking overweight, we're doing maybe 20 miles an hour on the highway. And we heard a weird noise from the truck. And we pull over. Dave, the mechanic, he's like, pull over. He's from Boston. I don't have a good Boston accent, but anyway, I try. So we pull over, and he's riding shotgun. And we're all in the truck, except for Zach that was in the back in the horse trailer. He hops out and he looks underneath the truck, and his eyes get big, and he backs up. He says, "Everybody get the fuck out of here." We're like, what's going on? The catalytic converter was orange, glowing. And like, it was like almost like dripping metal, because it was so hot. It was melting on the highway there. And we just filled up the dual tanks of gasoline. And we were afraid the fucking truck was going to blow up. So we pull over, and Steve's all, shut it off, and Dave's like, no, let it run, because the motor's going to, everything was hot. The temperature gauge was like, we're about to blow the engine. So we pull the horses out and shit. And we're thinking this truck's going to explode. And Highway Patrol pulls up, and he's like, what's going on, guys? What's the problem? And we're like, oh, nothing. We just wanted to give the horses a break real quick off the side of the road here. They've been in the trailer for a while. Just let them walk around. He's like, oh, okay. So he just got back in his cruiser and left. So we waited like an hour for the truck to cool off, and we maybe went like another 4 miles before we had to stop again and let the truck cool off. And so that was pretty scary. But the scariest part is when we got to the top of the mountain, and is a steep grade for miles. We get to the top, and we're about to, it's like at the top of the roller coaster, you're about to fucking drop in and go. That scary shit, So we know that the only brakes we have is just the brakes on the truck, because the trailer brakes are gone. They're shot. And Steve's driving, he's got his hand on the wheel and his other hand on his face like this. And we, from like a crawl, we just start moving forward and just start going down the hill. We start going faster and faster and faster, and there's tons of noise from the banging of the horse trailer and all the shit. And thank God there wasn't really any traffic at all on that road that late at night. But we were going so fucking fast. Every now and then I'd kind of lean forward to look at the speedometer, and it was going 70, 80, 90. I think we're up to 100 miles an hour at one point. We didn't blow any tires or none of that shit, but Steve was like working the brakes, on the turns and shit. I thought we were going to fucking lose it. I thought we were going to crash and die with the horses. I seriously, I was this close at the top of the hill saying, "Stop, let me out." I was very close to doing that, but I didn't have a cell phone or nothing. You know, nobody could have picked me. I would have had to hitchhike or wave somebody down. But I was very, very tempted to do that, to get out of the truck right before we started going. And we're just going faster and faster and faster. And the horses at the time were kept at this property in Northridge. No, it wasn't Northridge. It was off of Tampa, off the 101. Anyway, we made it. We got back to the ranch, and we were all... Nobody said a word as we were going down that damn mountain, down the Grapevine. And we got there, and we pulled in, and Steve got out, and he was shaking a bit, and we were all stressed out. And he later told me, he said, "I never stepped on the gas from the top of the Grapevine to here." Like, all that momentum of the rig pushed us all the way down there. He never stepped on the gas. And we looked at the brakes later, and they were completely spider webbed, you know, from the heat and shit and all that stuff. And yeah, the catalytic converter had melted away. And yeah, that's the time I died almost 3 times in one frickin' day. I know I said twice, but I forgot about the gas and the cat fucking melting away next to the gas tank and shit. I thought we were gonna blow up. I thought I was gonna fall off the side of the trailer, 65 miles an hour, and I thought that we were gonna crash and burn getting down the Grapevine. Anyways, high fives and butters. I hope you guys enjoyed that little story there. If you did, hit like, hit subscribe, and that notification thing, thingy there. And it's free, and it'll let you know whenever I post up a new video. Check out my links down below. And Christmas is right around the corner, guys. And I'm doing a special Saturday Shitmas live stream where I read your poop stories. And if you have any embarrassing holiday stories, send them to me as well. Send them to TahoeWeather@AOL.com. And yeah, it's going to be a charity stream to help out my jousting brother Quint. His kids are trying to get enough money to where they could snowboard this year. And if they miss their window this winter, they're really screwed, because they weren't able to snowboard last winter because of COVID. This winter, the Sierra at Tahoe, where they snowboard at, half of that resort had burned away in the Caldor fire. So and Graydon, Quentin Kelly's kid, he's an Olympic hopeful. He's got a lot of talent and a lot of ability, and I hate for him to miss out this winter. So oh yeah, so the person who donates the most amount of money towards this, I will send you my homemade beef jerky. So there's something in it for you, and some jerky and some good karma. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this story. Yeah, it stresses me out just telling it. Yeah, all right. High fives and motors. I'll see you guys later. Bye. Dang it.